MCP, Model Context Protocol. The first mention of this happened in November last year, and it kind of really picked up steam towards end of Jan, early Feb, and now it is already becoming an industry standard. Not yet, but still, I think everyone is pledging to support. That's pretty cool to see if you think about it, right? Anthropic launched it. Very soon, Microsoft jumped on the ship. OpenAI, Sam Altman tweeted and said they're going to support MCP. We had AWS support MCP, Google support MCP. I think all the major players immediately kind of agreed and started supporting the system. Similarly, when Google's A2A came out, you had Microsoft kind of extending an olive branch saying, you know what, we're going to support A2A as well. So it's very healthy to see. So MCP looks like it's here to stay for a longer period. So what is an MCP, Model Context Protocol? Uh, so you have the literature here anyway, because for you to see via the deck, but I'll explain this through a visual representation. Again, credit goes to the host. All our credits will be there in our deck that we're going to share with you. So if you see here, this is a very good explanation of what MCP is. So think of your Slack, your Gmail, your Outlook, and these are all your tools. And for each of these remote SaaS platforms or enterprise tools, you can create an MCP server. Take Lyzr. Lyzr itself is a remote service which has an API endpoint. Now you can create an MCP server for Lyzr also. So imagine Lyzr somewhere here. So all these are MCP servers. Think of them as pluggable USB cables. Now, MCP, the Model Context Protocol, becomes a hub. They represent kind of a USB hub where all these can plug in, and there is one single hub that is plugging into your client side, which could be your Claude Desktop, which could be another agent, which could be Cursor, which could be any of the client side application from where you would call these agents dynamically. So that's what MCP, I would say the architecture is all about. And you can also now connect local data sources to MCP. It could be your knowledge base, like we spoke about the knowledge base in the last session. So it could be the knowledge bases as well. Just understand this architecture or visualize this architecture. I'll hand over to Rashwant from my team, and he's going to show you actual live demo of how it works. It will give you, now you'll be able to relate these two together. Rashwant, over to you.
Yep. So let's start about how you go about, like, how easy and how accessible and how useful MCP servers are. So this is the package that I've created that exposes all of Lyzr's agents as tools you through a MCP server. So basically, you create an MCP server and it has access of all the agents that you've created. So the prerequisites are just two things, that is Python and UV. UV is a package manager just like pip, but it's faster. That is the reason we're going with this. And so to start this, you need a client, an MCP client, and the most popular MCP client out there is Claude Desktop, and Claude Desktop, and the second one is Cursor. So we'll go with Claude Desktop, and to configure this, you'll have to find this particular file. So this would be found here in Mac and in Windows, and all you have to do is copy and paste this much. That is all that you have to do in this particular JSON file. And two edits needed are your Lyzr API key that you'll find in the studio, and your user ID that also you'll find in the studio. All these are the two things that you'll have to edit, and that is pretty much all we need to set it up. So after you configure in Claude Desktop config, this I've added, and what happens? So you restart Claude, you open Claude Desktop, and you find this particular button pop up. When you click on this, you'll find all the agents that you have listed as tools over here, and these are all enabled by default. And you can ask a question like, so let's say I have an agent that answers questions about my particular bike, and for that I've uploaded my user manual. This is an agent sitting in the Lyzr's platform, and this is all that I'm asking Claude. The most interesting part here is that Claude knows which agent to call exactly. And how is that done? That is the beauty of MCP server. MCP server exposes these tools, not only just exposing, but also tells what agent or what tool is for what use case. And as you can see, my Claude Desktop called this particular agent and with the query of this, and it got an output which was this. This was the agent from Lyzr responding. And now Claude has context and it says, okay, now that I have called it and I have context, I will respond. So interesting things that happened here is that I did not tell which agent to call or what is the query to call it with. Nothing. This is all provided by the MCP server, and that is exactly why MCP servers are booming and they are very helpful in order to give more context for the model.
Thanks, Rashwan. That was great. This is why we emphasize our customers that all our builders, also our agent builders on our platform, that name your agents properly. So if you look at an agent building, now we have agent role, agent goal, agent instructions, and we also have name and description of the agent. So these are all the metadata that you need to enter. And it's like naming your child, isn't it? Like if you name it well, you'll be able to call via MCP. That's the thought process because we don't want your MCP to actually to get confused by looking into similar agents, and then it kind of figures out. It's like figuring out the name of a name of twins. Basically, you don't want that to happen. So please, whenever, not just on Lyzr platform, whichever platform that you build, the metadata is equally important. And this is the future that we are moving towards, where MCP or A2A comes into picture, where they should be able to dynamically select the agents that they may have to work with. So yes, I think now this diagram would make sense, isn't it? Because what Rashwant did there was a Lyzr agent here, and which is exposed as an MCP server to a Claude system that is running on his laptop, but MCP becomes the standard protocol, and it is able to access and check the correct Lyzr agent to access. Now the best part is, what if Rashwant had Lyzr and also say Google email and also Slack, for example. Again, the LLMs will be able to decide. So in this case, Claude will be able to decide whether it should call a Lyzr agent or should it actually reach out to a Gmail client. So that is the dynamic decision making that LLMs are making. So if you rip open an MCP, what you would see inside is nothing but a prompt again. That is the prompt which has LLM choosing the right set of, I would say, services or MCP servers to interact with. And yes, you can also integrate data sources as well. I'll probably have Rashmant or the team to share the relevant information there. So this is MCP. Now, what is A2A? And the market thought Google was just jealous of the whole thing and they wanted to launch something in competition, but actually not. A2A is a complementary service that Google launched to MCP. A2A stands for Agent to Agent Communication. Lyzr is one of the launch partners. So this allows agents to interact with other agents. And again, credit goes to this beautiful diagram. I think this was done by a daily dose of data science. I think again the credits will be shared when we share the deck. This is again a very good representation. What you saw was the MCP part, right? Where you had the MCP host, which is Claude in Rashwan's scenario. And then it was able to access the MCP server, which is Lyzr's MCP server, in order to search for that particular agent and get the output. Now, what if Claude wanted to speak to an agent from Google Agent Space? What if Claude wanted to speak to LangGraph, which is where the A2A protocol comes into picture? So now the agent-to-agent protocol allows not just Claude, even this agent alone can be Lyzr itself. So a Lyzr agent can speak to a LangGraph agent or a Google agent via the agent-to-agent protocol. So MCP, look at MCP more of agent to tools, agent to database, and look at agent to agent protocol more of agent from one framework to agent in another framework. So that's the standardization that Google is bringing in. Um, there is obviously some overlap, to be honest. You can also use MCP server in an agent-to-agent communication, but that is not the core purpose of MCP at this point in time. MCP was not built for that use case in mind. So hence the overlap is definitely there. There are ways to use MCP also as for an agent-to-agent communication, but again, these are still very early to be honest. We are all super early in this whole adoption and migration. The way MCP is being adopted, we don't see agent to agent protocol being adopted in similar fashion. It comes down to, I think it may take probably some more time. I think A2A is far ahead in its in the release cycle. We are not there yet. We are still Most of the companies are still figuring out the early agent adoption scenarios. So this is the primary difference between A2A and MCP, so that at least theoretically you are absolutely clear on what these are, and you also saw an example. Building an MCP is also super easy. I really loved the recent um, uh, I would say the learning course that Hugging Face launched for MCP. So please do check it out. It is super easier for you to understand and follow through with real examples. You don't have to be a developer to be honest. It's very clearly explained. So I would probably recommend both developers and non-developers to actually check out the Hugging Face MCP course. Someone from my team probably could share the link as well.